To some, the epitome of showbiz bitterness. A now elderly man who, having witnessed his own brother reach the apex of wealth and recognition, has channeled decades of churlish acrimony towards monetizing a 6-year hissy fit. Persevering in an industry he spent his entire working life alienating himself from, his career could be surmised by the image of a demented vagrant pissing in the wind. To others, he cuts the figure of a comedic liberator. A no-holds-barred throwback to a funnier time, shining a light on the oversensitivities of modern comedy. A man who not only acknowledges the superficial and exploitative landscape that is the entertainment industry, but flatly refuses to play along. This is Kevin Brennan. Born in Chicago to Irish Catholic parents, Kevin is one of 10 siblings and, along with his brother Neil, one of 2 who has pursued a professional career in comedy. His father, an emotionally vacant narcissist according to Kevin, practiced law, whilst his mother seemingly refused to practice safe sex. As one of 10 merely surviving in the Brennan household could very well have warranted narration from David Attenborough.
So there's too many kids in my family. That's why I hate crowds, you know? I'm one of 10 kids. I never got enough to eat as a kid. I'm like, look how skinny I am. Look. So, I never got seconds. Then at one point, we had 10 kids. My mom was talking about adopting a kid. I said, go ahead, adopt them. I'll eat them. Okay, what is it?
Following the sound career advice of a 2-bit waitress he worked with, he decided to give stand-up comedy a good old-fashioned crack. Much to his delight, performing came rather naturally to Kevin, who, for the first time in his life, was actually being listened to.
I was surprised. I thought it was going to be terrible because I'm not like an outgoing. I'm not like a class clown, naturally outgoing person. So, but this one waitress, she said, "You're funny. You should try stand-up." And then another waitress used to go to this comedy club. And she goes, yeah, me and my boyfriend go out there. It was in like near the airport in Chicago, near O'Hare. I was really nervous, and not really nervous, but I thought I was just going to be, because I've never done it. So I went up and I grabbed the mic and I started talking, and I was calm. Like, I was surprised at how calm I was, you know.
After relocating to New York in the late 1980s, Kevin's career quickly took off thanks largely to an unprecedented boom in the world of comedy. So low was the stand-up bar at the time that even the likes of Rich Voss, a man who once gargled "come for a crack rock," could forge a lucrative career as a full-time comedian. By the early 1990s, the airwaves had become besieged with a veritable bombardment of desperate gagsters. Kevin quickly took advantage, competing but ultimately losing against the 19-year-old Dave Chappelle on CBS's Star Search.
Kevin Brennan and David Chappelle. We need a decision from our judges. Kevin Brennan receives 3 stars. David Chappelle receives 4 stars. A perfect score.
Neil would have been 19, so he was already probably friends with Chappelle. And I swear to God, I'm on everything that I never thought I gotta pair up with Dave Chappelle. Like, I knew he was good, he was very good, but I just never thought that way.
It was around this time that Kevin met comedy's most famous set of nostrils, Sarah Silverman. She had swiftly taken a keen interest in the prickly recluse, likely seeing him as the one person in the world more insufferable than herself. Kevin proceeded to do what any God-fearing patriot in his position would: make Sarah Silverman bleed.
Did Sarah Silverman really lose her virginity too?
Yeah, she did.
That's cool. She wrote about it.
She wrote about it in her memoir in 2010.
We had sex, and then she was young, and then there was blood on the sheets. Can I say? I can say all this.
Yeah.
There's blood on the sheets, so I said, I'm like, Sarah, were you a virgin? She goes, no. Why? I go, because there's blood here. She goes, maybe you're a virgin.
That's why an older guy dates a 19-year-old, because he doesn't want to settle down or be in a relationship. Right. So he dumped me, and I was so devastated. I thought I'd never fall in love again, because I had never felt that way before, I was like so madly in love.
Appearances on Conan and Letterman quickly followed, as Kevin's almost career in entertainment threatened to take off. The lesser Brennan's late-night appearances would eventually bear fruit, after being granted a full half-hour of airtime courtesy of Comedy Central.
You can walk down the street with a girlfriend, and guys will do that they'll do that to your girlfriend, and you're with her. Guys will be like, come on, you're right there with her. What's that about? It's retarded. Jesus, my girlfriend just ignored them, but I had one girlfriend that said, I'm gonna go see what they want. You don't need that, do you?
Whilst Kevin painfully dedicated his first 10 years in show business to working on material and honing his craft, his brother Neil took a slightly more parasitic route. He'd spend his teen years following his older brother Kevin around the New York comedy scene, often rubbing shoulders with the who's who of the East Coast circuit. It was his time working as a doorman at the Boston Comedy Club in Greenwich Village, where Neil's wiggerish love affair with the black community began. And despite looking like the warped product of his own caricature artwork, Neil was somehow able to pitch his bug-eyed wagon to one of the young rising stars of comedy, Dave Chappelle.
I met him when I worked at the door of the comedy club in New York, Boston Comedy Club, like in the early '90s. I was going to school, and then my brother's a comic, so I was working. I like got a job working the door.
Did he show you the ropes, your brother? Like how?
Not he basically like he would bring me around, but like in the '80s, in the late '80s, like so we were the only like young dudes, and like me and Dave got along really well. And then I moved out here to write for like Singled Out on MTV and all that on Nickelodeon, and then me and Chappelle were still always friends. We wrote Half Baked.
I looked up his Wikipedia and I saw that he says you started doing comedy. He figured he could do it because of you.
Yeah, well, what happened was he wasn't doing comedy. His Wikipedia, his bio, last time I read his bio, it's a lie. Because what happened was he acted like him and Chappelle started at the same time, which wasn't true. What happened was Neil was working the door. He was going to NYU. He dropped out after a semester. He got a job working at the door at Boston Comedy because he was just hanging around there. He had nothing else to do. So him and Chappelle came into town. Him and Chappelle were the same age. And when Chappelle came here, everyone was very kind of threatened by Chappelle because he was very good. He was 18, very naturally gifted. And he was already killing because he'd been doing comedy since he was 14. So him and Neil became friends because Neil was around. This is the club that he worked at the most. And it was before Chappelle kind of closed off the circles when he wasn't like really big yet here. Yeah. So he was still accepting like new applications as friends.
By 1998, the Chappelle-shaped nest egg Neil was perched on finally began to hatch. Years of watching another man's career flourish would earn, so to speak, Neil his first big break. Together, they would work on a screenplay for yet another of Hollywood's disposable weed flicks, Half Baked. Critically and commercially, the film was a complete and utter disaster, and even its newly found status as a so-called cult hit does little to justify its creation. His brother Kevin would be credited with a minor role, but much to his general indifference, had the part cut at the last minute.
But when it came out, it bombed so bad. And like the movie wasn't exactly what we wanted to be. Like we wanted Q-Tip to be in it. Right. Like we wanted, like we had a whole other idea for it. So the way it turned out was like, eh. And then we opened against Titanic, Good Will Hunting, GoldenEye, and some other shit.
Citizen Kane.
I mean, yeah, like
Godfather 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, like we just got mauled. Wow. But then slowly but surely, like on video, it did well. But video, they don't care about video in LA. They just don't care. So we were like pariahs. They were like, out of here.
Really, when Neil told me, I didn't care because it was a small part.
Of course.
And it would have just been a blip anyway. It wasn't like I had a serious thing that they cut me out of, you know. And I got paid anyway.
Kevin's primary focus at the time was network television, and with a couple of Lettermans neatly tucked under his belt, he could finally start boasting a little industry cred that didn't involve Sarah Silverman's hemorrhaging gash. An appearance on Spin City, a show centred around the deteriorating motor functions of an agitated midget, would pave the way for a lucrative writing job on Saturday Night Live.
Wait, are you disrespecting my lady?
Hands off, Tubby.
Why, what are you gonna do about it?
I'm warning you, stop.
Yeah, hey guys, the little drummer boy wants me to stop.
After a lengthy audition process during which he openly lied to Lorne Michaels about his age, Kevin would go on to spend 2 seasons at SNL as a writer for Colin Quinn's Weekend Update segments. He was subsequently tested as a potential anchor following Colin's exit from the show, but was somehow even less intelligible than his mumbling predecessor.
I wanted John McCain to punch Bush in the face. I mean, the guy is so annoying. Bush keeps saying he's a uniter, not a divider, which is good if the South secedes from the North again. And as for Al Gore, I count Al Gore's when I can't sleep at night.
They hired me to write for Weekend Update because and I had to lie about my age when I auditioned. They sent it was a lot of shit, but they sent a tape of me, and then they liked the tape, and then so I auditioned live, and then I had audition. They liked that. Then I auditioned in front of Lauren and his buddies at NBC, and then the next day they said, okay, they want you to come to the studio.
Kevin was ultimately let go following the appointment of wacky blackfacer Jimmy Fallon as Weekend Update news anchor. He would pair up with fellow cast member Tina Fey, spelling an abrupt end to the show's dwindling comedic merit.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Here are tonight's top stories. People around the world drank themselves into oblivion today in honor of St. Patrick's Day, or as the Irish refer to it, Saturday.
Neil, on the other hand, had spent this time in a state of somber reflection, convinced his one shot at clinging onto the trailing leg of Dave Chappelle on his way to the big time had been squandered. Aside from the occasional failed attempt at breaking into stand-up, Neil, much like the startled rodent he often resembles, scurried away from show business for the most part. But Dave was far from done. The pair would reunite in the early 2000s to commence work on what would become one of the most celebrated sketch comedy shows in the history of television.
I think people see it as like either Dave's the genius and I'm his typist, or I'm the or I'm like tell Dave what to do, and it's like, or we're both funny.
Yeah,
I don't know. Could that be possible? No, not possible. One of you has to. Okay.
The assumption is the white guy did all the studio execs assume the white guy did all the it's usually, so Neil, you're the structure guy. Yep, and then jokes come and I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, no, we both do both.
By his mid-40s, Kevin's fortunes were considerably less rosy than his emaciated sibling. After seeing his brother Neil collect global plaudits, albeit for mostly Dave's work on the now Emmy Award-winning Chappelle Show, Kevin's Best Comedian Award at the 2005 Aspen Comedy Festival suddenly had all the prestige and panache of one of Gino Bisconti's skin tags. Still, the recognition was just about enough to grant the comedian another 30-minute slot, this time on HBO's One Night Stand as a last-minute replacement for the very soon-to-be ex-Mitch Hedberg.
We just take showers together. You ever take a shower with your brother? Growing up, anybody? No, because you're not supposed to. That's why you didn't. We were 5 brothers in a shower like gay porn. That'll mess up your head later on in life. I've had girlfriends like, let's take a shower together. It's Valentine's Day. I'm like, I ain't going in there unless my brothers are here.
Over the next 10 years, the career of Kevin Brennan had slowed to a pitiful crawl. Aside from writing for Norm Macdonald's short-lived sports show on Comedy Central, his quest to expand his modest list of credits would go the way of Artie Lang's Septum. The entertainment industry had taken its toll, with decades of failed pilots, empty promises, and Neil fucking Brennan reducing the comedian to an embittered husk. After finding his way onto SiriusXM's flagship morning show, Tits and the Worm, Kevin Brennan would bear all.
Like, who says that? Nobody says, most people say, I think I like Molly Shannon, but Neil's like, I think I can date Molly Shannon. And then he did, but because nobody else wanted to. Nobody else wanted to.
There are a lot of babies out there, you know? Like Nick Swartzen, he's a fucking baby. You guys are probably friends with him.
I like Nick. Yeah, you don't like Nick?
No, I don't, because he's a fucking baby. Like, I like him, and I'm happy that he's gay, but
well, why?
No, he just outed himself. He finally outed himself.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
No, but like even Tom Papa was just like, I used to barbecue with him here, and then out there he's like, he got flaky, and I'm like, even you half a fag? Come on, man.
I'm doing Opie and Jimmy, and it's not even probably as popular. I mean, it was still popular, obviously, but it probably wasn't as popular as when they were all there together. And I was like, so I feel like I missed the boat, but once it happened, I didn't give a shit, because I was like, this is fun as shit to just say whatever you want, and the fans like it, and I like it. Actually, Florentine coincidentally was on both of my first 2 episodes there, but I remember after the first one, we were taking the elevator down, and he goes, man, the fans are gonna fucking eat that up. He goes, I said, it wasn't too much. He goes, oh my God, they're going to love it. You're shitting on Neil. Oh God, they're going to fucking go nuts.
The appearance caused a bit of a storm amongst many of his comedic peers, and severely dented already strained relations with brother Neil. But as far as Opie's school of heavy-chested broadcasting was concerned, Kevin Brennan was incredibly good radio. Meanwhile, with an insatiable appetite for his next big serving of podcast talent, Bob Kelly's midriff was aflutter with activity upon hearing Kevin's appearance on SiriusXM. The fattest man on earth immediately paired Kevin with part-time cruise ship comedian Lenny Marcus for a weekly podcast on his Riotcast network. Cue Misery Loves Company.
Bobby Kelly called me that same day, and I thought, this is weird. Bobby Kelly called me the same day, and he said, well, I want you to do a podcast with Lenny. And I thought that, and I knew that podcast would be better because Vinny's, Vinny's done my show a bunch of times, and he doesn't say anything. He's just because he's a natural politician. So I just knew it wouldn't be good. And Vinny's always late for everything. So I just thought, well, Bobby's more connected with the podcast world, the O&A world, and me and Lenny were friends.
I called Rob. I go, Kevin's fucking brilliant. Lenny's awesome. It's a good match.
He really did say that.
No, I did.
He really did.
I did. I said we came up with the name. Rob went and to his friend who has a show from Blue Oyster Cult. We came up with a theme song. I came down, took photos of you and Lenny. We photoshopped. We came up with I had my web guy do a logo. He went and fixed. We did all this work, over $1,000 of our own money, and we put it into the show to have that logo, this theme song, and then this fucking crowd. It's all because of me!
The podcast was an instant hit, with thousands of downloads in its first week. Lenny, a practicing Jew by trade, played the straight man perfectly, affording Kevin the audible room to scream away his weekly inconveniences. Occasionally, Kevin's scatterbrained clamour would find its way to Lenny himself, claiming he never had the makings of a varsity comedian.
He's not being fair to white people. He just keeps saying, black people are better at stuff.
Black people are better at stuff?
Is that Jim calling from the bathroom?
No, Jim went to the bathroom.
Boy, Lenny really sure knows how to keep a bit going.
Yeah, you can have a successful...
It is Jim calling?
Yes, of course it is. Thank you, Lenny.
Fuck you, Lenny.
He had me, Lenny.
That's like the funniest thing I've ever been a part of. I didn't even know I was a part of it.
You don't want to do anything. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to do anything. Your schedule's not flexible. You're in your huge fucking comfort zone, and everything is like, I'm not doing it. I'm only taping the show Monday at 1. I'm not going to fucking Long Island. Long fucking Island. Where you're from? You won't go. You won't go to Long Island because you're mad?
I will go because
you might get a gig?
I'm mad at the fucking place you want me to work, so I'm not working there, period.
That's what I'm saying. I said to people, I go, I guess Lenny makes so much money in his website business.
Even if I do, so what?
So you're not a real comedian.
Oh, really? I seem to be respected as a real comedian. Who the fuck are you to tell you what it is to be a real comedian? Somebody who goes on the road?
Because I'm a real comedian. Yeah, I go on the road.
Oh, you go on the road.
Yeah, I go on the road.
That's
I'm
it.
a real comedian.
A real comedian goes on the road.
A real comedian makes most of his money doing real comedy and goes on the road. Doesn't turn down gigs because I don't really do that because I have a side business. You ever get on a plane and go to a gig to headline? Where?
Plenty. Every cruise ship you get on a plane.
Okay, I'm not talking cruise ship.
You go to Aruba, that's a gig, you get on a plane.
Okay, but they're not real comedians.
Savannah, Georgia,
they're not real comedians.
You get on a plane. Austin, Texas, you get on a plane. I've been to all
where'd you
those
work
places.
in Austin, Texas?
Where do you think I worked at Austin, Texas?
Well, I don't know.
At a JCC. Is that bad?
What? What's JCC?
A JCC, a Jewish Community Center.
You did?
Yeah, for a whole weekend.
So you're just getting Jew gigs?
If I want them.
In particular, Lenny's preference for Jewish community centres was a rather humiliating point of contention for Kevin, who felt an association to a self-titled comedian retreating to the safety of his tribe was far beneath him. His embarrassment was only amplified during a guest appearance from what appeared to be Mike David from Red Bar's father.
Whatever, everyone's full of shit. But that's why Lenny, with the thing with the towel, did I say this on the air just when we were talking?
No, that was just our
No, because Lenny's always saying, while we're on Lenny's always like, I don't want to work the road. So then Attell came by last week. He was going to do our podcast and whatever. One thing led to another, and then we didn't air it because he didn't want us to air it. He was going to talk about something. Anyway, so then he told me, he goes, why don't you and Lenny do the road? I go, Lenny don't want to do a road. Lenny goes, no, I do. I go, everything, Lenny's told me nothing but he don't want to do the road. But when Attell was there, of course he wants to do the road, you know?
Lenny actually said that to David Tell. JCCs, and Tal goes, JCC? He goes, Jewish Community Centers. And I was like, it was depressing. It was depressing for me to even be a sidekick. Lenny will only work JCCs, again, because it's a controlled environment. It's not a comedy club. It's a Jewish community center, so they're all going to be Jewish. They know he's Jewish, so they're going to be sympathetic. Even if he sucks, they're not going to fucking heckle him like a regular comedy club. And he doesn't have to sell tickets because it's a fucking community center, you know?
In fact, such was the popularity of Misery Loves Company that Bill Burr, a now elitist echo of a once blue-collar working man, agreed to appear on the podcast for its 39th episode. Kevin had spent weeks wrapped up in another of his froth-mouthed tirades, this time aimed at Burr, dismissing the millionaire's on-stage outrage as a detached display of insincerity. With his West Coast ego firmly bruised, the 52-year-old Disney performer was ready to fight back. The appearance descended into complete anarchy, with Bill Burr not this uncomfortable since being forced by his domineering wife to dispose of his beloved dog Cleo.
Kevin, I love you. I don't know what your problem is. I don't know if you're playing a character or you've really slipped into another level of madness beyond what you had the last time I haven't seen you in years. And I got to tell you, I didn't miss you.
I just want to know why are you so mad? Why are you so mad? If you're
What?
Out,
oh my God! I'm not mad.
if you're selling out Madison Square Garden, why are you so mad? Why are you selling out the Prudential Center? Why are you so mad, Bill? Why are you so mad?
Oh yeah,
come at me, bro.
He says
come at me.
You shouldn't be mad now that you're 666.
All your fans are like, he's just like me. He's mad like me. Yeah, he just made $150,000 clear today.
Jealousy.
So,
he's
not
to find yourself a
He's
new
not like you
kind
at all,
of
you
jealousy.
fucking morons in the audience. He's just like us, Bill Burr. He gets all mad about nothing.
Poor kid.
Nice.
So what are you mad about? What are you mad about?
I'm not mad. What is your
No,
problem?
but when you go on
not
stage, like what tonight? Where
Kevin,
if you go on stage?
you listen to my podcast for a minute. You don't watch my act.
I don't. That's why I want to know. I don't watch anybody's act.
Well, then why, if you're not going to have the time
What he's saying is,
to
Bill,
listen to it,
he's saying, tell us about show business.
What he's
telling.
really saying
Kevin
is
show
he
business.
doesn't like I'm selling all these tickets. He watches me for 2 seconds. All he does is yell, and then he screams at his wife while his child tries to sleep in the middle of it. This is basically, and then I'm supposed to waste time in my life trying to make your fucking brain correct. I'm not doing it.
That you guys got to listen to this podcast, by the way. You know what's funny? There was so much screaming and yelling on this, just done by one man, by the way. Kevin Brennan, just out of his fucking tree, screaming at me. You ever want to listen to somebody just scream at me, you know, and be mad that I'm selling tickets? This is the show. And Jesus Christ, Kevin Brennan was going off on me, but I got some good digs in on him. At one point, he was so fucking over the top screaming that me and Lenny were just sort of singing underneath him, like happy songs to try to take the edge off of what he was saying. But
By the 40th episode, tensions between Kevin and Lenny were at a tipping point, with constant arguments about how best to monetize the show's success. Kevin was at this time going through a series of marital problems, likely a result of matching a volatile psychopath with a wildly opinionated immigrant from Central America. This left him needing immediate cash flow for 2 households, and as a result had the comedian engaging in a series of frantic t-shirt drives and personal donation requests. Unfortunately for Kevin, Lenny's Judaic impulse to turn a buck was overpowered by a stern refusal to allow his partner to get his own way.
Kevin has his own donate button on his website, and we have one on the riotcast.com website is the support button, which goes to the entire podcast. Kevin's donate button goes to him. Now, Kevin, I think you might like that donate button that you did for yourself. I know all the stuff is going to you, and you want to make money quickly, and yes, you don't have to take the girl out on a date, but apparently you made a lot of money this weekend. The point is, you made good money off your donate button. Congrats.
No, the point is...
And point two is, we're working on advertising. If you do want to advertise, please contact us via the email. We have one going right now. It looks like it's going to happen, and it's a very nice deal for everybody.
But look how you're talking.
We are excited.
Fingers crossed.
It's about to happen. This contract needs to be signed. Just shut up. Just shut up.
Meanwhile, Kevin and Lenny would get into another blowout, this time regarding a t-shirt design influenced by the Starbucks logo.
Even the thing with the website, with that lady who made the thing, and you're like, the Starbucks thing? The Starbucks ripoff? I'm like, are you serious? First of all, you think Starbucks is going to sue us?
Who knows?
And even if they do, that's good for the fucking show.
You're Starbucks sue us?
Yeah.
So somebody fucking takes all your money is good for the show?
We don't have any money.
Well, they're going to sue you personally and take everything you have.
No, they won't.
How do you fucking know?
Because we
get a lawyer and clear it. And by the way, I'm the motherfucker who went out there and asked the lady to get, and I built I got a sign off for that. And I sent it to her to get your fucking face, that woman, Earth Dog. Thank you for sending that in. I'm the one who got a release from her.
First of all, Lenny, Starbucks can't do anything to us because we don't have any money. So they'll tell us to stop. And then we'll stop, and then we'll fucking talk about it, and then we'll get another one.
Great,
and it'll be a fucking collector's item. But your take is, well, what about what? What about nothing?
Make all the T-shirts you want, then, Kevin. We're
not doing it that way. We're making them as they go. Whenever that fucking happens, nothing fucking happens. Between you and Robert Kelly, nothing fucking happens.
You're free to make any fucking T-shirt with your face in this world. I don't.
Okay, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it.
Really? You don't know how to make a T-shirt? Last week you're like,
you know how to make your own T-shirt?
Yeah.
In between heavy bouts of panic feeding, Bob Kelly was spending much of this time working towards bringing Misery Loves Company to a live audience. The show would eventually take place at the Comedy Cellar on September 13th, 2016, and would feature two of New York's many working comedians in Dave Attell and Dan Soder.
Oh, look at that.
No,
There's the shirt.
Oh,
look what I wore by accident.
My God. Show them the back.
There you go. Yeah, how does the back work? Does anybody really want to buy this shirt?
I donated to Kevin Brennan 666, and all I got was this lousy shirt.
Hashtag Starfuckers.
I'll be selling them after the show.
Yeah, how many you got?
I think I got 30.
However, the issue of monetization would again rear its bloated bald head, with Bob Kelly insisting the live taping should be hid behind a paywall on his Riotcast platform. Kevin, now the recipient of a healthy flow of personal donations, vehemently disagreed, claiming the show should be available to everybody free of charge in efforts of continuing MLC's impressive growth. With the deciding vote, Lenny Marcus sided with management, a cowardly move which not only sealed an end to their working relationship, but prompted Kevin to scratch Lenny's name into his little black book of eternal nemesis.
I mean, if I did another show with Lenny that week, I know I was going to be brutal to Lenny. I knew I was going to be brutal to Broadcast. I knew they were going to I know I was going to burn every fucking bridge because I knew I had it in me. I was just so disgusted with Lenny taking Riotcast's side. Not only does he doesn't take my side, he takes Riotcast's side, where I'm like, Lenny, so the point is, Lenny said, we're going to put the live show behind the paywall. So I said, Lenny, that's a mistake. And then I told Lenny, well, I'm against the paywall. So then next thing I know, Robert Kelly, you know him, Chris, right?
I've heard of him, yeah.
He always calls me like this. He goes, what's going on? I go, nothing. Because when someone calls you, obviously they had an agenda. So why is he asking me what's going on?
When he knows exactly.
Yeah, so he goes, what's going on? I go, nothing. What's going on? He goes, you're doing the paywall. I go, okay. So I know Lenny told him I wasn't going to do the paywall.
Lenny and Bobby were a team basically against me. So whatever I wanted to do, they were like, we're not doing it. And so there's no way you can't, if Lenny's beholden to Bobby, so at some point I got to go like, this doesn't work. And then Lenny didn't want to tour. I mean, not that we're going to tour, but Lenny didn't want to do shows together. Bobby wanted to do like a paywall. And it was just, and that was when Patreon was first starting. And Bobby was like, no, we're going to do every plan he had was so dumb. I was like, wow, these guys Bobby's dumb. Bobby's a dumb guy. At some point, Lenny's like a fat girl. You know what I mean? Like when your friends, see you and like, this is my girlfriend, and then it's like a fat girl or something. Like, I hate to shit on fat women, but I'm just saying, it's like Lenny was like almost embarrassing.
With Lenny gone, Kevin Brennan's Misery Loves Company needed a little, company. He would eventually decide on one of America's many unpredictably violent members of the black community in Jimmy Martinez. The former drug dealer was a bit of an awkward fit, with his own brand of manic energy far too often competing with Kevin's.
You guys got anything you want to plug before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I want to shout out.
And don't tell where you sell drugs. That's on your own. That's on your own dime.
Bro, stop saying I sell drugs. I don't sell drugs, man. Stop saying that shit.
Or you loan them for money. You know, these people, they don't challenge the crowd. Then when I go up there, they're like, what's your problem? I'm like, Nigger, please. That was with an A.
I don't care, man. I gotta say what the fuck I gotta say.
Okay, but you gotta let other people talk.
I've been letting you motherfuckers talk. And what the fuck are y'all talking about?
Right that. Just that.
Fuck out of here.
Because all weekend long, I was at the fucking McGuire's on Long Island, and these people look at me. I'm like, listen, niggers, okay? I just did a show for 10,000. Listen, I just did a show for 10,000 people. There's 100 here. My dick ain't hard, if you know what I'm saying.
Turn up.
Keen to give a struggling man of colour down on his luck a fair shake, Kevin sought the assistance of his few remaining celebrity friends to help promote the new look MLC. Although, to a visibly decaying ethno-nationalist like Anthony Cumia, the sight of Jimmy Martinez storming the Compound Media headquarters would have likely sent his ill-fitting hair plugs shooting from his charred scalp.
When you get one black guy with like Artie Fuqua or then Godfrey shows up, it gets louder and louder. They get like a contact high around black people.
I've
They
been
get
on the train. I've seen
they
it.
get louder. I couldn't leave last week because I had a mic in my face. So it was my show. So I kept saying, cut his mic, cut his mic, cut his mic.
Wow, you
They wouldn't cut his mic.
Trying to cut your mic?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
So then I finally just said, cut that nigger's mic, you know?
oh, shit.
It wasn't long before the unstoppable force of Jimmy Martinez would crash headfirst into the immovable object that is Kevin Brennan. In one of the most bottom-feeding games of showbiz chicken you'll ever see, Jimmy Martinez dared Kevin to call his agent to confirm he was working in Hollywood. As Kevin made the call, things would inevitably take a violent turn, as Jimmy Martinez threatened to whip yo fucking ass. Meanwhile, somewhere deep in the white suburbs of Wilmington, Delaware, a smug grin would creep its way onto the face of Colin Flaherty.
Jason, you know he's not sleeping. He's gambling all week, and then he's going out and no sleep on a Monday and auditioning. Okay, well you should.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, talk to Smoothie and talk to Zsa Zsa.
Right now,
I'm not punking. I'm calling you out, bitch.
No, you bugging right now.
You
my
said
nigga.
you told me to call him.
No,
You told me to call
ask
him.
him a question.
Is
if
he
I was
working in
or
Hollywood?
not.
Where's his next gig in Hollywood? Okay, you don't have a gig.
Hey, yo, man. Listen, bruh. I'm done with this.
Okay, good. Good. You said call him to see if you got a gig.
I'll whoop your fucking ass. You know I'll whoop your ass, nigga.
So what's this?
Huh?
All
right. I'll whoop your fucking ass, nigga. You think I'm playing with you, dog?
So you're
Yo, move.
Jimmy.
I'll whoop your fucking ass, man. Don't play with me, man.
Jimmy.
Fuck off of me.
You told me to call him.
Fuck off of me, man.
Told me to call him, right?
Yo, shut the fuck up, bitch. Shut the fuck up. This is a rap. Okay. Play with me if you want to, dog.
Wait for me outside.
What? Wait for you outside what, nigga?
Talk outside,
Don't
man.
play with me, dog. Whoop your fucking ass. Wait for nothing, nigga.
Hello?
My nigga, that shit was just crazy to me that this old fucking senior citizen was doing this dumb shit, and I know what he was looking for. And he wanted me to smack the shit out of him. He wanted me to smack purple in his face so he can go fucking viral.
That was a great show. I remember when he left, and again, I had no intention of instigating that to that level, but when he left, I remember I said to Adam, I said, "You get all that?" I mean, I said, "Are we still like on?" He goes, "Yes, it's great radio." But yeah, I was sure he was going to hit me, and I guess I disrespected him enough that he was going to hit me. And if he would have hit me, it would have gone viral. Like it went kind of semi-viral.
Keith the Cop Maresca, the incompetent boob running Compound Media into the ground, saw in Kevin Brennan the opportunity to elevate the network's subpar standard of throwaway content. With Kevin still technically under contract with Robert Belly's Riotcast network, he would have to come up with some sort of rebranding to be adopted into the Cumia family without breach. A weekly show titled Burning Bridges would stream to Compound Media every Monday, essentially replicating his work on Misery Loves Company, only to another of Keith's low-resolution backdrops. To Bob Kelly, this was the final straw. No longer willing to endure Kevin's elderly dramatics, Bobby removed MLC from his Riotcast network completely.
So what happened with your job?
It's my stupid
job.
Did
I not say this the first episode?
It's the first episode. Do
This is the first
something,
episode
man.
of Burning Bridges.
I'm Tom Cassidy. You didn't even fucking intro me.
I know, but that's my shtick. Yeah, it was a fucking bloodbath because Riotcast really didn't want me there, and so I got the hunch of that they didn't really want me there.
What gave that away?
The thing was, I'm like their hottest show.
If this was still going, it'd be fucking hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, sure, Bobby. Okay.
This would be it'd be big as Rogan.
Right.
Keith called me and said, hey, Kevin's going to be doing a show here too. It's different and blah, blah, blah. He's already done a couple episodes. And I was like, you know what? I'm out. You take him.
First of all, you're 100% wrong. I started doing their show in March. I left your network.
Prove it.
Like, huh?
Prove it.
Prove it. What is it?
Yeah.
Count all the votes? What the fuck?
I mean, look, man, prove it. You're saying I'm wrong. I'm saying you're wrong. Prove it. I don't care if your show was going to fucking blow up and I was going to become a multi-millionaire from your show. I would give it away. I would give it all away and live in a hut.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You're bad at business.
Yes, if letting you go and fucking not doing it with you.
Hey, I got my wife. Hey, I got another episode of My Wife Hates Me. I'm going to release it at 12:30 in the morning on a Tuesday. I was like, what the fuck are they doing?
With no Jimmy Martinez, Kevin was again on the prowl for yet another of his short-lived sidekicks. Having surprisingly failed with a confrontational former criminal as second mic, he would perform yet another dramatic U-turn for his next appointment. Brian McCarthy, a pudgy middle-aged blind man, snatched at the opportunity to fill Jimmy Martinez's stolen Jordans, showcasing his narrow range of stale puns and nonsensical wordplay. But it was just below Brian's flabby seams, where an alcoholic mentalist with severe behavioural problems would occasionally burst from.
Anyway, we're blessed today with Brian P. McCarthy.
Hey, folks, thanks.
Brian P. McCarthy on Twitter.
That's right.
Brian's wearing glasses because he's blind.
What was that?
You guys know he was blind?
A little bit. I came in with a cane, so it's pretty obvious.
He's blind, so you just thought he was an egomaniac?
Yeah, I could tell.
And a stick?
I thought this was a pet
I thought
store.
he was being rude when he was like, who are you?
Who's that cunt? Sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
He was just available. Like he was just super available. He didn't have a job. He was looking for something to do. I mean, like he was definitely different than Lenny. He would drink a lot. Lenny didn't drink at all. Lenny was a stiff. And then Brian was like a drunk. He was like a class clown, would do anything for a laugh. Yeah. And then he was, and he was easy to deal with.
I love your show, as you know, but Brennan might have that.
Can I just talk for one second?
I love Brian.
Can I just talk for 1 second? Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! If I came to your show and sat on a fucking couch, screamed the microphone like an asshole, and didn't let your guests talk, I would be fucking pissed. Show some fucking respect, you drunk piece of shit, and you fucking toad.
No!
This is our guest.
We don't
He's here to
care.
talk
Brandon
about what he does.
Sagalow is your guest.
I have to
Brandon
down.
Sagalow is
So
your
this-
guest.
We brought him. We're talking about his shit.
Don't you dare. I'm on your side.
For Brian McCarthy, linking up with an industry veteran like Kevin, albeit one who'd at this time struggled to book a Z stream, was just the sort of leg up he was looking for. Through Kevin, he could finally meet some of his comedic heroes, with a rapidly aging Jim Norton for some reason top of his list. As a 52-year-old entertainer in decline, the hairless vaudevillian was now reduced to performing in costume as a roster of zany characters. The cringe-inducing Chip Chipperson podcast was a particular favourite of Kevin's, and after months of desperate needling, the tubby little blind man would get his wish.
Good, that's not gonna get irritating.
I'm sorry. I'll try to tone it down. I'm sorry.
Nice hat, Chip.
Kevin wanted me to bring you on, so
Thank
go
you.
ahead, tell me something
No, it's
about
his
yourself.
fantasy to meet you and be on your show.
Well, not my fantasy. I'm
Yeah,
a
it
huge
is your
fan. I've been a
fantasy.
fan for at least 10 years, and I brought you Jim Norton's favorite candy.
Oh, really? What is it, a
Yeah.
fucking pecker?
Check it out. What do you think?
Wait, I
Yeah,
don't know.
wait.
Oh, yeah, it is. Pecker Patch Sours.
However, relations between Brennan and Norton would soon sour. After performing at the annual Chip Chipperson variety show, Kevin was presented an irritating series of obstacles when chasing his £500 fee. He was under the impression that, as a fellow former celebrity on their way down, he would receive payments on the night. Yet he was instead forced to repeatedly and aggressively pester the once-upon-a-time comedian, resulting in a passive-aggressive moratorium on SiriusXM guest spots for Kevin. After being rightfully called out live on air, an agitated Jim Norton wriggled his way onto burning bridges loaded with excuses.
Following Thursday, I text Norton. I go, yo, so is anyone going to pay me or what's going on? Like, I wasn't even rude. I said, like, I had a good time. Basically, who's paying me? Right. And then it becomes like this fucking thing. Like, it takes forever. And so it took 2 weeks from that point to get paid. It's $500. I go, after the fucking train, I made less than $400 on the fucking gig. I got to wait 2 weeks for this fucking money? Right. I go, it's one thing if a fucking guy doesn't pay you, but this is fucking different because it's comic on comic. All you had to say that night, all you had to say before you ran out, you almost left before I was back even in the fucking green room at the.
Well, sorry, I didn't stay there to greet you. As a 30-year veteran, we've both done gigs before. I didn't realize that afterwards I should have dropped roses in the green room.
No, all you had to say was, my account will pay you in a couple of weeks. I would have been like, perfect. Why are you not paying me? Like I had a fucking.
I just explained to you.
I know, but you didn't explain that to me in the fucking text. You never said, this is what we do.
Because no one else do. Don't try to get angry about it.
I'm not trying to get angry. I'm saying all you had to say was this is our procedure. Nothing was mentioned about procedure.
Whoa. I did say that. You didn't say thanks for the extra. You certainly didn't say, can I come on, Chip or Jim and Sam? And I said no. Then I could see you saying I have a grudge. And you absolutely did not invite me on your show. So why am I
You wouldn't come on the show. You wouldn't come on my
show.
show. You don't even do Comey a show. So what are you fucking talking about?
You've never invited me on your show.
Okay, but you'll say no. You'll say no. You're not gonna come on my fucking show.
Anthony Cumia was at the time doing his utmost to keep his own flagship show on Compound Media together. For some deranged reason, Keith Maresca had recently hired Artie Lang, a £300 repetitive baghead, in desperate hopes of saturating what remained of the waning interest in shock jock radio. And despite a relaxing 4 to 6 PM schedule to accommodate Artie's addiction to snorting glass, Anthony would still be left presenting the show alone more often than not. And on those rare days Artie would decide to turn up, he would often excuse himself during the show, taking extended bathroom breaks only to return with unstoppable nosebleeds. Kevin took particular umbrage with the wheezing dope fiend for what he saw as taking a long line of extreme liberties at Compound Media. The bad blood between the two would reach boiling point during an appearance on the Artie and Anthony show.
He's not a great guy. He's not a great guy. Listen, no, I haven't met a comic that's a great guy, and also he's a junkie. So a junkie comic is not a great guy. Period. End of story. Fucking cowards.
Yeah.
That's the problem when you call it disease, because he thinks he's sick. He thinks he has a disease. No, he's a fat fuck who likes to fucking party. He's a delusional fucking junkie asshole. And then when he's sober, he's like, I'm all humble. And then as he does one set, I'm a killer. I've been in this game 30 years. He's talking shit on Twitter.
I stopped. Listen, they were all bad
he
jokes.
did 20 tweets about he got his feelings hurt. He did 20 tweets.
I'm feeling
talking about my wife and my kids.
Listen, I did not talk.
Twitter, like who does
what
that?
I say about
What
your
kind
wife
of
and kids?
stuttering John?
I would never do
A
that.
real man would never do that. But you're a bitch. You're I mean, that's what you do. It was Good Friday when he did it.
I'm like, fuck.
Now with my
what am I
kids,
doing?
I got to fucking deal with all this fucking crackhead Twitter followers.
Why would you look at Twitter? Don't look at it. That's ridiculous.
So what was the
Pick a side. Be a junkie or lose weight. Pick one.
Kevin then took aim at another in the long line of Keith Maresca's regrettable hires in the odious Bill Schultz. The former Red Eye presenter was fired from Fox News for refusing to address an out-of-control cocaine addiction. And with Gavin McInnes having left the network to better supervise his rampaging cult of gay rednecks, Keith figured handing the morning slot to a washed-up vagrant with a drinking problem was a smart move. And just like that, Morning with Bill Schultz, the show absolutely nobody had asked for, was born. With Kevin at the time demanding more space in Compound Media's lineup for Burning Bridges, seeing what looks like the homosexual son of Mick Jagger excitedly slur his way through 4 days a week was a bitter pill to swallow.
So they bring in Artie, which I was like, I get it.
Sure.
You know, he's a big name. They wanted to do so. And then they brought in Bill Schultz for the morning thing. And I was like, you know, I mean, I know he was used to be on Fox and Friends or Pink Eye or Red Eye, all the puns I was working on when I was stuck on the D train coming over here. I mean, when they gave him they give him 4 days a week coming in, I was like, come on, man. Keith said before we're gonna give you 2 days, but it's like you gave Bill Schultz 4 days and he didn't even fucking audition. But also, if Bill Schultz quit tomorrow, nobody would give a shit. So my show I'm saying my show has a following. My fans are like passionate. I understand the Bill Schultz hire, but it's still, he's like, nobody gives a fuck about Bill Schultz. Put in fucking In Hot Water in the morning, and that would be a great show. Bill Schultz talking about fucking like whatever the fuck he talks about, flowers and shit. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
You're not impressed with Bill Schultz show?
No, because it's like he's just like a guy. He's just like a guy. He's nothing like, he doesn't turn me on, but I'm not a fag.
Kevin, per what he told Jim and Sam, was very disappointed that he did not have the morning show or a show of its ilk that he could be on 4 days a week. And he was not getting more of that. He called me, and I quote, 3/4 a fag. Again, I guess we have a running theme here, and albeit an offensive one. Hated my sports coats. He was very upset that Cumia would never have him on his show to guest co-host. And after I heard the comedic stylings of one Kevin Brennan, I have no idea why Cumia would ever want to have him on. He was a riot! It just turns out that his show Burning Bridges is very method.
Such was his disgust at Keith's apparent disrespect towards him and his show, that Kevin even discussed quitting the network entirely. Not even the emergence of security footage showing a seemingly homeless Bill Schultz stealing food from the Compound Media pantry would see Keith Maresca budge. Kevin would eventually confront a dishevelled Bill, who was busy drinking deep into his $100 a show paycheck at a local bar in Manhattan.
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
Hey there, buddy. Are you going to videotape this before we actually talk? Boy, that is a horrible laugh. Hey, listen to that. All right, well, you can record this. Here's the deal. I fucked up. Record this. I got a co-host now. So when you said all you said, wasn't really happy about it.
Cumia fans want to see tits more than they want to hear a woman talk. That's all.
She loved that. She was a big fan of that statement.
My objective
well,
take of,
sure it was an objective
I have women on the show. The fans get.
When have you ever had a woman on the show? I don't think women want to be in the same room with you.
I had a tranny one time.
Like, come after me. Don't come after her. All right? She's new. She's 4 days in.
She's not new. She's been on TV for years.
She's new to Compound, and she didn't think that some burn victim-looking guy like you was going to go after her for no other reason than you just wanted a fucking morning show for 4 days a week versus your sad, what is it, 1 day a week?
Yeah, it is sad.
So Bill Schultz is like, we're trying to get Kevin Brennan on the phone so he can, blah, blah, blah. Then I watched the show.
Right.
And I'm like, this guy, I called him a 3/4 fag.
Right.
On Jim and Sam.
His orange jacket or something?
Then he's good. He opens the show. He opens the show with that 12 minutes about, he's doing clips, talking about how his dad loved Barbra Streisand. I'm like, this guy's fucking 9/10 fag.
Keith Maresca called in when Kevin Brennan was on Jim and Sam's show, and Keith Maresca called in because Kevin sort of had a little bit of a tizzy, sort of walked out in this place now. I'm not even, but I guess he's back. And he called me 4/5 a fag. It was very brave of him to do as much while I wasn't there, and also to tell my boss to fire me.
Damn.
I was very happy with his, again, constructive criticism. But Daryl, you still on? I didn't see yesterday's show as much as Kevin Brennan is number one on my dial. Did he give me any other advice?
He probably just went on and on about how much of a fag you are. He did say that Michael Malice is not as much, or is more of a fag than you are. So at least maybe that's an improvement. I don't know.
With the Artie and Anthony show finally etched into the Compound Media history books, in came one of Michigan's finest middles, the relatively unknown Dave Landau. After a year-long ball-washing campaign, Dave's sycophantic guest appearances at the compound would finally pay off. And with a heavy-set Midwestern wife to feed, the offer of partnering Nana Cumia in her golden years was a dream come true for Landau. As far as Kevin was concerned, the appointment represented an affront to the legacy of Cumia, who he thought should be aiming a lot higher than some Z-list pigfucker from Detroit. After giving Landau a thorough dressing down on SiriusXM's Dry Drunk in the Morning, Kevin would physically attack Cumia's co-host a week later, after Dave Landau threatened to have sex with his child.
But I'll bring it up today with Cumia about how much he's in love with Dave Landau.
You should.
Dave Landau. I never even fucking heard of him.
But he might. But that doesn't matter.
He's not Joe Rogan. He's not Bill Burr. It's not like he brings all these fucking eyeballs to the fucking
thing. He likes doing the show with him, though. He just likes
enjoys him. I'll constantly say, like, maybe I'll get a Dave Landau fucking mask and whatever. I'll just mock it because Dave. I mean, I don't give a fuck, Dave Landau.
But Dave is funny though. You got to give it to him.
You never even seen him.
No, what I'm saying is,
wouldn't you have heard of him if he was that funny?
Not necessarily. If he's
Anthony
a newer
likes
guy.
him better than you.
Will you do me a solid favor?
Of course.
You never have to have me on ever again.
That's not. No, I want you.
Please bring on Dave Landau just to see his magic.
I hear he's very funny. I would gladly have Dave Landau.
Just have him on. Just have him on so you can see.
If he's good on it with Anthony, I would love to have him. I would have him and Anthony in together. Actually,
No, Dave Landau by himself. Because if he's that good, then he shouldn't bring his fucking partner.
No, I want Anthony back anyway.
Dave Landau will be on This Is Not Happening March 16th on Comedy Central.
Thank you.
Oh my God! So you're on for like 2 minutes?
No, it's probably about 15.
I doubt it.
No, it is.
They usually have like 20 guys.
How would you know? You haven't done anything on the network in 2 decades.
It's a waste of time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
Oh, so your podcast is why you're selling out amphitheaters?
I'm not doing amphitheaters.
You're not doing anything.
Don't even say those faggy words.
You're welcome to open for me anytime that you
theaters.
want. If you want to get back to some of the clubs
amphitheaters.
you used to play in the 90s.
Your fat doughy wife.
I'll fuck your fat wife.
Who probably looks like Bobby Kelly
and your
with a fucking
no
weave.
coping skills school shooter kids.
What?
And I'll wait till your daughter's fucking 18, and then I'll fuck her. And then when you see me, you'll see. Do something. Go to prison.
You can't be violent. Kevin, no. You can't be violent. Kevin, no.
Hit me. Go to prison. You think I'm afraid?
No.
So don't fucking talk about my wife.
She's a fat fuck. You brought up my wife.
You're a fat piece of shit.
You're a fat fuck, dude.
Get out of here if you want to start.
No. No, Kevin, you can't do that.
Get out of here.
No touching.
Don't
no touching.
You talk about my fucking kids.
You talk about my family. You started it.
About your
family's off limits. Fuck you. You've never even seen my wife. She's hot as fuck.
Because you're fat.
Oh, is that why?
If you're fat, she's gonna be
You're
fat.
fat, you fucking douchebag. You worthless, gross pig.
Let's trade
a
seats,
retard.
Dave. Yeah, musical chairs.
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, you switch with Sam.
Yay! Here you go. You're good.
I'm gonna fuck you up after the show, dude.
Oh,
I'm really afraid of you, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
you're little and you're fat.
Yeah. And
All right.
You're little and
fucking
you're fucking
coward.
queer. God, you're the worst.
Fucking kids. He talks about my kids. What a fucking coward.
How did I talk about your kids?
You're
When
gonna
you sat
fuck
there
my
screaming
daughter?
at my
You're gonna
family.
fuck my daughter?
Yeah, I said, how about that? How do you like it when I
You're gonna
insult your
fuck
family?
my daughter.
How do you like it when I insult your family?
Oh, you're a fucking piece of shit.
I did absolutely nothing to you, dude.
You're
I did
you're
nothing
gonna
to you.
You're fucking dead.
I have the whole thing right here, the conversation. I said, hey, because you were talking about him on Jim and Sam, Dave Landau. I'm sure you've heard about it.
Yeah, February 14th.
I go, I love Kevin's anger. And he goes, yeah, apparently off air he said some good things. He was just pissing, I get it. And I go, Kevin's smart. He likes to stir up attention. Yeah, I realize that. I'm interested to see what Ant does today. So he was aware. It was just like you're having fun.
Yeah, but then when I saw him at the show the other day, he was all like fucking. He was all churned up, as they say.
Can we get a countdown to when your daughter's going to be 18, like a doomsday clock?
Oh, my God.
He said it, not me.
So I listened to that audio like it was the Zapruder film. I analyzed everything and how it built up.
Yeah.
He came in hot.
Elsewhere, having seen his own brother turn to antidepressants in coping with the melodramatic pitfalls of celebrity life, his attentions would turn to the antics of pharmaceutical godfather Joe Matarese. After addressing the tranquilized haze Joe had haplessly stumbled into, Kevin would find himself on the receiving end of one of Joe's classic Balboa moments.
And then I listened to his podcast because it's really, let's put it this way, it's relaxing.
Okay.
So I'm always thinking like this guy, and then one time he was driving his car, he goes, you know what, everybody, I'm feeling it. Are you feeling it? He goes, what you got to do is you got to tell everyone about Joe Matarese. You got to share my videos. You just got to tell the people. We got to create like a movement here. It's like, you can't. It's like. That's not how it works. Where someone go like, you got to listen to Joe Matarese. Right. When you watch Joe Matarese's podcast, like now he does it by himself. It's called Medicated. He's just confused. He's like, what was I gonna say? He goes, I'm taking 10 milligrams of this thing and 10 milligrams of this. What did I? But he acts like he's got a producer. Like Garrett's in the booth. He goes, Garrett, where's that video? But he's talking to himself. Hey, Kevin Brennan, 666. Maybe I take meds so I don't ever have a podcast called Burning Bridges. See, I'm a little angry. Doesn't your really successful comedian brother take meds?
Oh, wow.
Hashtag passive aggressive.
Next on Kevin's hit list was comedian Gary Gulman, a towering Jew with a violent reputation and a penchant for Semitic victimhood. After seeing a tweet from Kevin suggesting he was an aggressive piece of shit who abused comedy cellar waitresses, Gulman responded by grabbing Kevin by the throat and viciously slamming him against a bathroom wall at the Village Underground.
Oh, yeah!
Jesus. No.
He scratched you like a bitch.
So then he just comes barreling to the bathroom and pins me up against the wall. But the bathroom attendant was in there. Right. He's like, break it up, whatever he did. I don't know. So then the bouncer, I guess, heard that he came in, and so he didn't throw a punch. He just held me up against the wall, and then he goes, hey, don't test me, motherfucker. And I said, I already did. You failed.
Zing.
You know, I told Noam, I said, Noam, listen, I know you're Jewish. I know Garrett Goldman's Jewish. I know how the tribunal is going to side on this one. So, So Noam goes, are you serious? I go, come on, Noam. I go, the Irish, we're not like that, but I know you guys are good with each other.
Meanwhile, with Dave Chappelle having famously fled to Africa, walking away from a $50 million deal with Comedy Central, Neil Brennan was faced with a difficult dilemma. Either work independently on writing and producing his own comedy series, or use Dave's fame to continue sucking at the sagging teat of the entertainment industry. Having chosen the latter, Neil's affinity for licking feasts fresh from the boot of Hollywood quickly found him work, directing 10 episodes of the eye-gougingly unfunny Inside Amy Schumer. He would go on to write for and appear in Trevor Noah's race-baiting flop The Daily Show, before defecating onto the Netflix comedy conveyor belt with his special 3 Mics. Now good friends with the likes of Chris Rock, Joe Rogan and Jerry Seinfeld, Neil's sycophantic status in show business is as high as it's ever been. As you can imagine, Kevin has not taken news of his brother's success very well.
Hi!
Hey everybody! I'm Neil Brennan. I'm in Seattle.
Oh boy.
It's the summertime. It got chilly. The fog rolled in. I was like, yuck, I better put my Carhartt hat on and show everybody I'm a real dude.
So skinny.
Yeah, but he's like, I guess he's in LA and he's like, he's edgy, or he's like, I don't know what the fuck. He's like, he's almost like he's just come out as being a fucking full-blown AIDS homosexual, because it's like, who's he appealing to with the fucking, can you pull it up? Chappelle used to treat Neil like shit for years, just because it was like Neil would put up with it. Neil's just a fucking cuck. He's like an abused fucking, but he's like, I don't know, it's a paying off. So, and he's gonna use that till on his deathbed. I'll be like, I did a Chappelle show. And by that time, nobody will give a shit.
Back at the compound, and things were going from bad to worse for Kevin Brennan. Whilst a bumbling Keith Maresca was at this point handing the likes of Don Jameson, Chrissy Mayer and even E-Rock their own shows for next to no logical reason whatsoever, Kevin was told to be a good little boy and wait his turn. It was clear the retired former police officer was way out of his depth in running compound media, and was at this point visibly sabotaging Anthony's entire media empire. Fresh from sniffing his own testicle fingers, Keith would attempt one last time to diffuse the comedian's clear frustrations, although he seemed far more concerned with manipulating the worm-infested brains of Compound Media's few remaining subscribers than finding an actual compromise. Keith Maresca's ego had at this stage inflated to the point of unbridled delusion. Kevin was done. After 158 episodes, Kevin would turn to Twitter in confirming his permanent exit from Compound Media.
My Twitter blew up in the last half hour.
Oh,
over what? What happened? So I guess I was just curious why that happened.
I didn't do anything.
I know, but
I'm just doing my show. I'm doing my 1-hour show.
But when we discussed just why we were adjusting the times and everything, you didn't say anything to me. Like, why didn't you say, like, hey, man, I enjoyed doing this? And
because that's not how I do my business.
That would make sense.
Wow, you didn't say a word to me, and I don't mind.
But
I'm
also
very
the Bill
approachable.
Schultz thing is really getting under my craw now.
Well, Bill's lifestyle is Bill's lifestyle.
No, I'm talking about his 4 days a week, and it's just it doesn't make sense.
And this is kind of the same thing that happened when you were on Jim and Sam that morning. If you just come to me and talk to me, I'm very reasonable about things, and we work it all out.
He's like the mafia. He's very reasonable.
We do like Keanu.
Well, then give him my time. I just give him my time. I don't give a fuck. It's like I got 2 hours a week. Give it to somebody else.
Why? We enjoy having you here. We want you here. We
Okay,
want you
but you're basically saying, we got other people clamoring. Give them my time.
No, it has nothing to do with your time.
Then what are you saying? Give them my time. Give E-Rock my time.
No.
Give everybody my time. I don't give a fuck.
That's not what it's about. When we spoke about it, you didn't say to me, hey, why?
But then that was before all the emails about forced time off and no pay.
No, it's not forced time off.
Vacation where I don't get paid. That's not a vacation. That's forced time off.
Well, this isn't a full-time job either.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So I'm ready to. I'm ready. Just take my time. Give the time to Chrissy Mayer and Mike Figs and Jim Stansel and the other guy from Connecticut. And you got all your fucking shows lined up.
Kevin quit on Twitter. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, we'll see what that it means, even or not. I've known Kevin for a while. I've always said he's one of the funniest motherfuckers. Burning Bridges, hilarious show. So I'm like, I don't know. I've heard him go through this before. So I called up Kevin. He didn't answer the phone, so I left a message. And the message was kind of funny because I'm just like, Kevin, it's Anthony. Because I've never called him. This is the first phone call Kevin Brennan ever got from me. And it goes to voicemail. I'm like, Kevin, it's Anthony. What's up? What the fuck? What's going on? I think your show's great. I love you. We could probably work something out here. Just what the fuck?
People are there for Cumia. If you want to stick around, stick around. But we're not gonna break the bank. But the bottom line was it's like not enough people watch it, like it's frustrating that you do the show and you're doing funny shows there. I mean, also one of the reasons you can do funny shows because you figure no one's watching and then you just do whatever the fuck you want and then it ends up being like comedy gold or whatever. So, but then you do it and then you do live shows and it's like the same fans are there and like, how many people watch this fucking network?
As for Kevin's blind co-host Brian McCarthy, he eventually caught the Brennan axe after appearing on an episode of Morning with Bill Schultz. To Kevin, this was a clear act of mutiny, and far from in keeping with how a loyal sidekick should act, especially one with no observable skills or working eyeballs to fall back on. The effeminate relic was a central reason to why Burning Bridges was no longer a Compound Media production. So to see his co-host yucking it up in a cackling room of drunk gay hens was, to a paranoid maniac like Kevin, cause for concern.
Well, yeah. Well, I have, in doing your show, and I don't want to hijack the show at all, but I have sort of an announcement that I have, in doing this show, I've been told by my co-host partner, Kevin Brennan, that I am fired from Misery Loves Company.
I saw that on Twitter last night, and I assumed it was a joke.
Oh, no.
Are you fucking kidding me? You should have told me. I don't want you to get fired.
Fired?
And so I was just like, hey, I said on Tuesday, I said, by the way, I'm doing Bill's show. Sorry, I didn't say Joanne. So it's just show. I'm doing Bill's show on Tuesday, on Thursday, and then I'm going to have lunch with a friend. I'll see you at the Strip at 2 o'clock. And he goes, Bill, who? And I said, well, Bill Schultz. I said, I'm doing this. And he lost it. He has to admit that he lost it. He lost it on me and said, if you do his show, then we're done working together. Kevin had said on Burning Bridges, he had said how he thought you should be fired and for whatever bunch of reasons that he tried to get you to not have this gig anymore.
You're gaining nothing by doing Bill Schultz's show. Bill Schultz is using you to create a problem, to get drama on his show. And I have no idea what the fuck Brian's doing it for. Like, I don't know if he's like, I think Brian has this thing as like the same reason he goes to the strip clubs. when he goes to Gallagher's, when he lands at LaGuardia, instead of going home, he's like, I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy. And this is what bad boys do.
In the pre-coronavirus months that followed, life returned to a stage of relative normality for Kevin. He'd divide much of his time between performing at New York comedy clubs, touring with his friend Louis C.K. and recording Misery Loves Company. This time with a 46-year-old frat bro tryhard Chad Zumach. As the world descended into a state of COVID madness, Kevin decided to take an extended break from performing at clubs, only popping up occasionally on the odd Facebook live stream. But when news broke of Dave Landau's sudden and dramatic exit from Compound Media, he just had to have his say. It turns out Dave had used the jagged nodules buried in Anthony Cumia's face as a series of stepping stones to bigger and brighter things, and despite looking like a big gay toddler, he was able to attract the attention of Christianity's very own Steven Crowder. Poor Tony Cumia was left a confused mess, having only known for sure of Dave's intentions to join Louder with Crowder the evening before. However, for Kevin, a momentous weight had been lifted. Overjoyed at being fully validated, he gleefully rushed to the compound to give Dave Landau the bitter send-off he thoroughly deserved.
Like, everyone saw it coming. I gotta be honest about this. Everyone saw it coming. It's like, Dave was going over and doing Louder with Crowder more and more. I don't get what it's all about. If he wants to be down in Texas or, the South Carolina thing, me talking about going to South Carolina might have flustered him a bit if he didn't want to go to South Carolina. I don't, it's what it is. But he's over with the Crowder now. I'm like the dejected wife.
Dave Landau pretends to be something, but he's just a no talent coward. He could have just called Cumia or whatever. There's a better way to fucking do it than the email. All the money Cumia's given him, all the fucking opportunities. I mean, nobody had heard of Dave Landau. I'm so happy. I want to call Brian McCarthy. That's how fucking happy I am. So it's amazing. And I was in a real fucking bad mood today.
Yesterday, when somebody texted me that Landau quit, I realized I don't have a problem with Bill Schultz.
All of a sudden, no problem.
It all went away. I wanted to call Brian McCarthy.
Oh, wow. I straight out asked. I said, is Crowder gunning for you here? Is this going to be a thing? And he said no.
And then to fucking quit on you in a fucking email. Come on, man.
Well,
you guys are like you spend enough time with a guy. Don't you just call up and go I'm in a bit of a jam.
To some, the life and times of Kevin Brennan is nothing more than a bitter tale of sibling resentment and self-sabotage. They see in his later years a venomous old man venting his life's regrets and wildly lashing out at the more accomplished and successful. An impetuous blowhard who, instead of playing the game, has turned over the board, threw the pieces at the wall and blamed Hasbro for wasting his time. But others see Kevin slightly differently. His actions, for the most part, whilst not necessarily tactful, have often had some sort of logical foundation. He may at times be a little impolite, but it usually comes from a place of authenticity. A comedian so often judged for the insecurities of others, Kevin Brennan, for all his many faults, is at least a reminder of what the comedy world used to look like.